This was my first time traveling to the country of Spain, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. We arrived in Barcelona where we spent 5 days and then traveled by train to Madrid where we spent another 5 days. Barcelona is located on the northeast coast of Spain. While I knew Barcelona was on the coast, I was not aware that the main part of the city was so close to the water. Just a quick walk from our hotel and you could be strolling the beach of Barcelona. We arrived into Spain on a Sunday and spent the day walking through the city. It is common for smaller stores in the States to be closed on Sundays, but after just 5 minutes in the streets, it was clear that almost no business in Spain opens on a Sunday. Although, by midday, the beach was full of both tourists and families enjoying their day off. Immediately I noticed that most people and workers in Barcelona spoke English, Spanish, and most commonly Catalan, the language of Catalunya, the area Barcelona is located. This made speaking to restaurant staff, locals, and business employees much easier. We learned a lot about Catalunya and the people of Spain when visiting Diplocat, the Public Diplomacy Council of Catalunya. Catalunya is an autonomous community in Spain, and Diplocat promotes active involvement of the Catalan society. Recently, the Catalonian nation has expressed interest in the idea of separating from the country of Spain. The people of Catalunya feel very strongly about their loyalty to Catalunya and feel their unique language and culture is not properly identified. Therefore, it was announced by the president of the Catalunya's government that there will be a new referendum held on October 1st. In Barcelona, tourism is the main part of the economy. While it is beneficial, it can be concerning for the Spanish and Catalan government should tourism decline for some reason. Something I found interesting in both Barcelona and Madrid was the ability for a store to remain in business despite countless competition, sometimes right next door. For example, the small tourist shops selling souvenirs and other relatively inexpensive items seemed to be on every corner and every street with little to no distinction between stores, yet somehow they all remained in business. While in Barcelona, we got to visit many different sites including Park Güell, Sagrada Familia, Cordon New Winery, and the FC Barcelona Stadium. All of these sites were large tourist destinations, and this is one area where Barcelona has been able to capitalize on by charging admission to some of the more popular sites like Sagrada Familia and the soccer stadium, obtaining a large income from these areas. I loved the atmosphere and lifestyle in Barcelona, but as we traveled to Madrid, I didn't expect such a large difference in the cities. Madrid is centrally located in Spain and is the capital of Spain due to this central location. Madrid was a much busier and fast-paced city, more like New York City. The streets were filled with cars at almost all hours, and most businesses stayed open even during siesta time. Something very interesting I enjoyed about Madrid was that while it's such a large city, the history of the country and the city is all around you, and very well respected. Right in the middle of everything, you can see the Royal Palace, and just walking through the streets of Madrid, you can see the history where the walls that used to stand around the city still remain. With everything we did, from eating to shopping and just walking around, we were always comparing prices for both dollars and euros. The US dollar is currently at its strongest point this year in relation to the euro. A strong dollar occurs when the US dollar has risen to a level that put it near historically high exchange rates for other currency. While the dollar is strengthening against the euro, it makes Europe cheaper for the Americans and America more expensive for the Europeans. Due to this, the purchasing power will now be comparably larger, as $1 US will be able to buy more European euros now than it ever could a year ago. And therefore, one will be able to buy proportionally larger amount of goods than previously. While small changes in the purchasing power parity may not affect the tourists in Barcelona, a large change could take a hit on the income they receive from tourism, greatly affecting their economy. Purchasing power parity considers how much money would be necessary to purchase the same goods in two different currencies, so that the consumer doesn't have to depend on the currency that he or she is making purchases with. While in Spain, this is something that came to play when observing the prices of goods and services. For example, comparing the PPP between Spain and the US for something like food, they were very similar for similar portions of food in Spain and the US. Therefore, the purchasing power parity does hold. One service I noticed that does not hold with a purchasing power parity were our taxi rides. While the US has services like Lyft and Uber, a taxi ride in Barcelona for about a 2-mile ride costs 25 euros, which is around $18 US. Whereas in the United States, a 2-mile ride would likely cost around $8 to $10. Another specific example was on a day out shopping, I bought a pair of New Balance shoes, also sold in the United States. When paying for these shoes, I used a credit card and chose to pay in dollars. This total came out to around $95, whereas the exact same shoes cost $80 in the United States. I am still unsure whether or not I was cheated on my exchange rate, where they gave me a much lower exchange rate than what stood, or if this had to do with the purchasing power parity not holding with this pair of shoes. Overall, this trip to Spain was a wonderful opportunity and trip I will never forget. The business visits we got to take were very eye-opening, and I learned things about global business techniques I would have never thought about. This will help me as I continue to study and one day venture into the world of business, as I will have a much more global understanding.